Hello everybody, welcome back to the Divine Captains crew. And today we'll be wrapping up what we were talking about with my testimony and leading into ministry in the various ways that we encounter hardships, blessings, and all the things that come along with it. But before we jump into that, I want to talk about the call to ministry and how God often takes you out of your comfort zone and says, go that way, and why we should trust that. So let's jump right into it. I'll be in Genesis chapter 12, starting at verse 1. I'm going to just kick off, stop and talk when we need to. Now when the Lord said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. I'm going to stop right there. That sets up the big three things God moves us away from when he wants us to grow and grow close to him and evolve as Christians. First, he takes us away from our country. I'll use myself as an example. I moved from North Carolina to Michigan. Huge cultural difference, huge shift. I moved away from everything I knew, everything I loved, and everything I understood, like sun drop and liver mush, gone in an instant, because I felt God's call to pull me away from what I knew so that I could grow in fresh soil. See, Abraham was part of Ur. That was his home ground. Not only was it his home ground, it was good ground. I can say I moved rather easily because my home ground was a little toxic, but Abraham was from Ur, which is good ground, solid ground, because it was a metropolis in South Mesopotamia, running across the river with agriculture everywhere. He had opportunity, but it was a pagan nation, and God didn't want him there. God didn't want me where I was because he saw that my soil wasn't good for my growth. And just like he saw Abraham in what looked to be a great opportunity and a great place, saw it as a good time for him to move on so that he could put him somewhere so he could grow. The second thing God will remove from you is family. Now, I got an additional point after this, so I'm going to talk about extended family. Cousins, step-siblings, the family you choose in your friends and your acquaintances and the associates you make and keep around. Those type of people don't always get to go with you into what God's got going for you. Because sometimes God leaves you geographically in the same place. Maybe you're still in your hometown, but you feel a call from God to go out and reach out to your community or to your church and do something. So you haven't moved from your country, but you got to move from your friends. Your friends that ain't never done nothing. Your friends that don't go to church, don't read the Bible. Now hold on, I ain't saying you can't witness to them. I ain't saying you can't share the love of God to them. But what I am saying is that bad company corrupts good character. Straight from the word. God will take those people away from you. Because even if, I'll take it even further. Because even if they're not outright bad people, if they are not for God, they'll drag you down. Because you'll reach out on faith and get uncomfortable. Because you're going to people you wouldn't normally talk to. Your elders, your pastor, your church association, the county commissioner. You'll go talk to that bank about that loan. You'll be reaching out in faith on something God is calling you to do, and they will not see it, and they will not like it. They won't like that you're advancing past them. They think you're crazy. Maybe they work the same job as you, and they're like, look at our paychecks. We can't afford to do something like that. You can't take that risk. So he'll pull them away. In fact, you don't need to be around them. Again, for me, I left everything I knew, all of my acquaintances back there. I made my first real adult friend about a year ago now, not even. And then God will take you away from family. Because Abram, at the time, would have had family ties and responsibilities, and it would have been seen as a mad tactic to up and leave that, because now you've abandoned your parents in elder age, your siblings who would have looked to you as the one to go through for family matters, the inheritance, the blessing. It all would have fell on Abram. But he's like, no, leave your father's house. Leave that comfort, that security, that nest, that place you can always go back to. Because if you jump out in faith, but you can always go back to your mama's house, you're not leaping, you're not risking anything, because you got a soft place to land if you fail. You're really not giving that to God. Or if you go out and you wander around in the wilderness as Abraham was called to do, and you find that you don't like it here, and you go back to people who you trust or to your childhood bedroom, well, then you're not doing it the way you're supposed to. Or perhaps your siblings just don't see the vision. Sometimes your siblings just won't see the vision. Or your parents won't see the vision. And you got to move on. You got to step to the side and grow. So God will pull you away from those things. And when you come from a bad background, leaving your country, your friends, and your family is easy. When you come from something that's rough and hard, from jail, from drugs, from no church family, from being disowned, it's easy. Because you don't got anything to hold you back. But when it's important to you, oh, it's everything in the world. Because it's hard to step against things like that. Because now I got things in my life I care about. And it's a little harder to keep pushing because now I'm pushing against people I care about. But let's move on. Then what God will do is give you a call. Because once you elect to be like, okay, God, I've read the Word, I've studied the Word, I know what it's saying, I go to church on Sundays, I want to do something for you. You pray to Him, you're like, let's seek His face, let's get it. He gives you a dream, a goal, a promise, if you would. And we go on to verse 2 to see what He promised to Abraham. He said, I will make you a great nation, I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Verses 2 and 3 there. So now God's promised something to Abraham. Abraham now is like, man, I just got promised all this by God. Whoo, I feel excited. And I'm sure we've all felt that way. I know I certainly did. God said, go tell people about me. And I'm like, okay, where? Well, hold on, I'm going to make it hard for months. And I'm going to make you depressed for a little while. Then I'm going to give you Parkinson's so that you can't work. So I want you to get real comfortable with being alone with me. Wait a minute. I thought we was just fitting to tell people about you, God. I thought I was fitting to just slide into learning something new and growing. He said, you are? This is going to be hard first. And that's how Abraham must have felt. He felt great. He just got all these promises. But what he didn't notice is the thing I just pointed out. God don't tell you when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. He conveniently leaves that part out. If God would have told me that I needed to have Parkinson's, that I needed to have failing health, that I needed to be in pain every day so I could sit down, read His Word constantly, and go around telling the sick and affirm that Christ is King, I would have said no. I'm not even going to lie. I would have said no. I'm comfortable with it now because I understand and have grown, but at the time I would have just said no. If God would have told me I'd had to go to jail and spend almost 2 years of my life preaching the Word to convicts, I would have said no. No. I do not want to do that. But He didn't tell me when it was going to happen, and He didn't tell me how it was going to happen. He just told me, go that way. Go preach the Word. Go that way. He told Abraham, go over there. This is what we're going to do. He never tells you how and when it's going to happen. Because if He did, you'd give up. You wouldn't care. You wouldn't want to go through it. And I know that sounds scary, especially to the unbeliever. To the unbeliever, this sounds like madness. Why would I ever follow God if when I go and follow Him, it's going to be crazy and it's going to be hard? Well, it's because Jesus promised us one great thing. Let me flip to it real quick. Jesus promises us in John 10:10. This thief does not come except to steal, to kill, and to destroy. I have come that I may have, they may have life. That's us. We may have life. And that they may have it more abundantly. That's what tides us over till we get to the thing God called us to do. Because, because it's going to be abundant. Because it's going to be the things God wants it to be for you. Now, am I saying you're going to be rich and famous? Absolutely not, but you'll be abundant. You'll be abundant in blessings. You'll be abundant in good times. You'll be abundant in hard times. You'll be abundant when you don't think there's a way. You'll be abundant when the way is made clear. You'll be abundant in God. Because He'll be there with you every step of the way, giving you what you need right when you need it. But I get it, especially for the unbeliever. This still doesn't sound enticing. Like, yes, I'm going to be abundant in God, but what does that really mean? It means that when Christ rose from the dead, He stamped you with the approval to do whatever He called you to do. That's it. If you don't want to believe that it'll be abundant in the good times and the bad times and I'll have peace, just understand then that if he rose from the dead and you believe that, then he's stamped you approved for whatever it is he called you to do. I ain't got no resources. God said, go tell people about Jesus. I said, how can I do that? He said, here you go. Here's a channel. Approved. God told me to go and preach the word to various people. I said, how can I do that? He said, well, I'm going to have you go to this church that's hurting. And I need you to be there with them in their hard time. And they're going to give you the resources you need to get access to more people so that you can tell people about me. I didn't know none of that at the time, but I was pre-approved for whatever it was God was calling me to do. Why? Because I was tied along to. Why? Because Christ rose from the grave, which approved me to do it. And that's how I can trust that I will have abundance in the meantime. That all being said, I'm going to leave that for right here for the day. We'll pick back up on this next week. Please check out the study notes at the bottom and subscribe if you've watched this far in.